welcome to the Dreaming Machine, the Geek Show's animation podcast. This is Joe, and I'm with Amy. Say hi, Amy.
Hi, everyone.
Today, we are talking about The Owl House and why you should be watching it. So, The Owl House is a Disney series on Disney Plus in the UK. And I thought to get things started, Amy, you had a really good summation of the main appeal of the show, I thought, which is a good way to kick things off.
So, yeah, you may have heard about this show from your boomer grandparents who were way too into the Satanic Panic back in the day. You may have heard them talking about how this show promotes witchcraft, demonology, and lesbianism, which have been three of my favourite things ever since I was the age this show's aimed at.
Perfect. So yeah, those three things again. Could you repeat those, Amy?
Witchcraft, demonology, and lesbianism.
All in a family-friendly show, I might add, on Disney. So yeah, it's got really. I mean, that's a nice summation of for our personal taste, but also it's kind of got it's got a really cool vibe. This show, I think.
It has a really nice aesthetic.
Yeah, it's got magic, witchcraft, like tampering with forces you can't quite understand, kind of thing. Like classic material.
It also has other nice popular elements, like you have these classic School for Witches.
Yes.
And of course, being stuck in a fantastical alternate world.
So the show kicks off. So to provide the context, so it's a Disney cartoon series. There's been 2 seasons at the time of recording.
1.5 seasons.
And there's one more season coming up, but it's in a slightly different format from what we understand.
So there's half a season left, and that will be followed up by 3 45-minute specials.
Yeah, so there's each episode has a self-contained story, like about 20 like odd minutes long, classic cartoon length, but there's like a wider, like a bigger plot as well going on from the start. And yeah, it's a classic. I guess the starting point is going to another world, from where we're based. So we follow Luz is the main character.
Luz is very relatable in many ways, being that whole problem kid that the school have issues with.
And so she's like young teenager, maybe. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And yeah, she doesn't fit in with school, and there's a lot of there's quite funny moments when you see that in the first episode. And then fairly quickly, she's launched into this other world.
There's a magic portal she finds in an old hut in the woods near her house.
So we won't go into any plot spoilers or any major things, but yeah, like, so we mainly follow her like in this like new world like she's been launched into, and the kind of adventure she has there.
And the other main characters include the first person she runs into, Ida the Owl Lady.
What did you think of her?
Ida is absolutely the best girl. She's a middle-aged witch who's on the run from the law.
And they launch out like pretty quick, don't they? So that the stakes are already really high.
Right away they establish that she's kind of the most wanted criminal in this other world.
I mean, I had a weird thing when I first saw it, which is a very personal thing. Like, she reminded me a lot, just in the way she looks, of Catra from She-Ra and the Princesses of Power.
Oh, you have no idea, child. No idea.
No, for sure. It was purely aesthetic, and I immediately had a negative, oh, that's been done reaction without properly understanding her character.
So you are far too young and precious. Because if you're familiar with certain classic early 90s anime, you'll have had a very different experience of seeing Ida for the first time. Because her character design is literally lifted straight from anime classic Tenchi Muyo, which clearly someone was a fan of.
And I think that was part of the appeal for you, wasn't it? That's a polite way of saying plagiarism. Strong fan. You were a fan of that anime, weren't you,
yes.
Amy, I think?
Maybe we can do a retrospective on it sometime.
So I imagine that was part of the appeal for you. It kind of like for me the animation as well like has a 90s vibe to it. If that makes sense.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just a personal thing, but it had like kind of bold, colourful designs, and it just reminded me of a lot of 90s shows. The aesthetic of it.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe that's just a personal thing, but
it works really well though, the art style.
it works fantastically. Like with a lot of these shows we're talking about, very memorable character designs, like that very strong visuals that pop but assist rather than detract from the story.
Also, the character art lends itself really well to drawing fan art of the show.
Yes,
All of the characters are really immediately identifiable and very simple to draw. So there is a lot of fan art out there.
yeah, maybe that's what the 90s vibe is like. They're quite like simple designs. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. I don't
Hmm.
know, but I mean, as prep for this recording, I went on the creator's Twitter, Dana Terrace, and I don't know, the last like several months worth just seems to be fan art that's been tweeted to her. So I think that shows your point, really.
There is a big, big fan art community around this.
Yeah, lots of fan art and cosplay, which I guess you get with many shows, but in particular with Owl House, I thought,
There's also a big crossover of the fandom between this and another show we'll be covering, which is Amphibia, because, yeah, Dana and the creator of that show are friends as well, and they occasionally drop the odd Easter egg for each other's shows in there.
yeah. So I think that's a good point, and that's another part of the context really for the background of the show. So you know, it's got these great like witchcraft demon like alternative world like these strong elements which a lot of people will get on board with, but also yeah, it's kind of a group of shows like Amphibia and Gravity Falls in particular, where
Hmm.
the creators and writers like of close collaborators, and Alex Hirsch, the creator of Gravity Falls, is one of the voices of another major character in this too.
Yeah, that brings us to King.
So King's a very interesting. He's probably one of my favorite characters. I think from it. Like he's I think he's living with Vida like when they meet,
Yeah,
and he's just he's got an adorable Pokemon slash Digimon light like design.
he has such a Pokemon vibe.
Yeah,
Looks like a Cubone.
yeah, definitely. But at the same time, he kind of resents like how he's viewed as this ultra cute like creature, and he's called King, and that's an important name for him. Like kind of his inflated ego, I think. So there's a lot of mileage, I think, in the humor there.
Gravity Falls fans immediately heard King's voice and saw the way he behaves, and immediately there were fan theories floating around about Gravity Falls connections. I will say there is one Gravity Falls connection that at some point later on in the series they do appear to confirm. So eagle-eyed viewers who are fans of both shows may want to watch out for that.
Definitely. And I won't say any more because it's a lovely surprise. It's lovely to like investigate these Easter eggs and look for things yourself, I think.
Mm. Now, thematically, this show has gone down really, really well with the queer community, of whom Dana Terrace is a notable part. Dana wanted to make it clear from the start, wanted to have an openly bisexual character, and has done quite well in that portrayal in the show.
And it's interesting as well because I think I read an interview with it might have been Alex Hirsch, I think, about how resistant Disney were to that kind of representation.
Disney were incredibly resistant to it fairly recently when
Yeah,
Alex was making Gravity Falls, and they still were with Dana.
I mean, there's still a long way to go, still further to go for sure. But but it's definitely progress, I think. Well, it's shocking how recently there have been issues like that. Really, maybe shocking is not the right word. Maybe it's it's depressingly familiar.
And it comes back to pandering to that, again, that boomer witchcraft and Satanism demographic.
So some progress, not enough, but It's a
Step in the right direction.
for sure.
So, yeah, we have the establishment of those characters. We have Ida, who is just all about getting into trouble, even at her age, which I love.
Yeah,
And along the way, there's various other characters introduced because, of course, Luce finds the school for witchcraft there, which Ida, of course, is not the type to be really into all that school education thing. But I think she's very good when it comes to, recognizing what Luce needs and trying to take care of the kid that fell into her lap.
yeah, and as you kind of hinted at there, it's great that the troublemaker is like the older lady, the older member of the group,
Yeah.
and that works really well, I think.
And I think she's probably a good character for parents of our generation to really latch onto because she's
Yeah,
so funny and so relatable and so tired a lot of the time.
and being thrown into this world of having to look after Luz, that creates
Who is
a
a
lot of like
handful.
story and humor mileage too, I think.
And so, yeah, we get a bunch of other fantastic characters. You get, obviously, the friends that Liz makes at the school. You've got the mean girl there. You've got the various siblings of certain characters. And yeah, it just builds up a world over the course of that first season that starts to really take shape. But it's the characters who keep you there, I think.
Yeah, and just it's got very easy, like lovely sense of humor like throughout the show. I think it's like genuinely really funny.
Yeah.
So I think having made like a snap judgment when I first saw it about Ida's character, and having seen a lot of these like high quality like shows, that kind of, you're right, like those kind of elements pull me back into it, and my kids actually like really got sucked into it watching it, and so and I got pulled in through the characters, through the like the humor, the fun, the excitement of the storylines, all these different elements thrown in. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I love how it does that, and it's similar to Amphibia, which we'll talk about in a future episode, as you say, about how you have these episodic adventures, but there's also this bigger story about how she starts off getting sucked into this world, and seeing how it develops as it goes forward works really well too, and that makes it a bit more, well, like the TV equivalent of a page turner, makes it very addictive to watch, I think.
There's a lot more foot in the boiling isles.
Yes, that's a lovely way of phrasing it, Amy.
We didn't even get round to the titular character of the show,
As in Hootie.
the Owl House.
Well, I have mixed feelings on Hootie.
What can be said about Hootie?
Hootie was another one where I made a bit of a snap judgment. I'll be honest, the voice irritated me a little bit at the start.
Hootie is meant to irritate. That's the entire charm.
It took me a while to realize that, and that definitely, I came around a lot on Hootie towards the end. Hootie has some of the funniest moments, especially towards the end of season one, I felt.
Yeah,
But I had to get to that point first, I think.
definitely. Hootie really, really. You start to really care about Hootie, certainly by season 2.
You made me think of like he's the Grandpa Simpson of that world, in that he goes, he's desperate for someone to talk to, and he goes on and on and on. And what becomes grating eventually becomes humorous and, you know, likable. But yeah, so I would say, like, if anyone sees it and they think, oh, it's just another kid show, or any of those elements, you make irrationally harsh snap judgments like I did. If you stick with it, it is really good, and it is really funny and interesting. But yeah, but Who's a lot of fun too. I just had to warm up to him.
And anyway, all of these reasons are why you should definitely be watching The Owl House now.
Excellent. So definitely check it out. Can't wait for so we've got the second half of season 2 to come up, and the specials should be interesting. And like, I think it sounds like that might be the end of it after season 3, but I don't know. Are there any spin-off comics from this yet, Amy? Or
Not that I'm aware of yet, but we'll see where this goes.
fingers crossed, like definitely check it out. And if you like it, tweet your support of it, and hopefully get more and more content. It's a great show, a lot of fun.
Who's your support of it?
Very good. So thank you, Amy. I hope you all enjoyed listening. Let us know what you think. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.